Alright, just like I predicted, those freaks back in the UK, they like all these events with mass casualties and ritual sacrifices during certain celestial events known as crosses, oppositions of planets and stars. They like eclipses, and they have this Samhain holiday. I think it's the 1st of November, if I'm not mistaken. So October with all these eclipses is going to be very hard, and I hope that we shall all survive it. So if you have been living under rock, let me remind you, if you didn't know, that while we are sitting here at the end of September, people in Armenia have been genocided, cut into pieces. Their territory, part of their territory, has been taken over by Azerbaijan, while all the world looked on because Azerbaijan has oil. And by the way, that oil is controlled by the British elites, because population of Azerbaijan is not like Saudi Arabia. They are all very poor, and they have to come to Russia for work as migrant workers because British control all the oil over there. So they send the people via Turkey or others to genocide them. And Azerbaijanis are said, are rumored to have bags filled with severed heads, because for each head they say they get paid $500. Yes, they get paid in the US dollars. Surprise, surprise. Why is that? Maybe because the US is involved, or maybe because somebody wants to set the US up with their currency always showing up. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is Israel. And of course it's going to be the end of Israel, because there are just too many countries against that, like Egypt, Iran, and other Islamic world, which has lots of young men in it, because they have lots of children usually, and now they are pretty much have grown. They are grown now, and they are able to fight, unlike in the US, which is totally not prepared for war with China, which they are trying to wage. Back in the World War II, US has increased its economic power a lot and its industry due to machinery and all that equipment that went for the needs of the World War. Now, I don't think it's going to be the case, because people in the US are too sick to stand 12-hour shift at the factories making tanks and so on, let alone participate in a large-scale war with countries like China. So I don't know how it's going to be. At the same time, people of the US have never been heard when they were told, when they tried to say that they don't accept this LGBTQ agenda, when they don't accept all this debauchery going on. And they haven't been heard. And about Trump too. So if Trump is going to get killed, he's going to be killed with his entire family. So I think they are just waiting for such moment where his whole family will be gathered at once, because it's likely that his sons are going to avenge his death. So in the meantime, if the US is facing civil unrest next year and a civil war, I think that it will be the right time for China to strike it, or North Korea will strike it. Most definitely somebody will strike it once they see that the US is in such dire straits and they are having these financial difficulties and a disagreement in between them. So the US should have cut all their ties with the UK long ago, as it was claimed in their Declaration of Independence in front of the Almighty Judge. And this was packed with the divine. They didn't do that, so China is avenging what was called the Opium Wars, which took place in the 1842. Yes, it took them all this time to prepare. Over 100 million people died in China back then when the UK waged that Opium War on them, and China was almost annihilated. So the thing that is happening in Israel now is also done by the UK, because this happened with the UK Special Forces. This was them that attacked Israel because they like to kill and backstab their own, as we can see from, for example, Diana's death case or Madeleine McCann's death. They like to kill somebody of their own, while when somebody is more attractive than them, they're physically more pro or intellectually better, which is the Jewish case. They intellectually superior to the English. So anyways, Armenia is being genocided, and so is Israel, and of course the Ukraine war is also the hands of the UK, because they have been enemy of Russia for over 500 years. And mostly the British population itself is the most blind to what their elites and their government does. And they may not know that while their pensioners are starving and are going to freeze to death this winter because of what they call cost of living crisis, Armenians are being genocided and their land is being taken over by Azerbaijan, but nobody says a damn thing, because there are oil reserves in Azerbaijan which everybody needs, and these oil reserves are controlled by the British, nobody else, because Azerbaijani people are poor, and again they get paid $500 to sever heads per severed Armenian head. They get paid $500, so they pack these bags with heads and they get paid for that in the US dollars. So if there's going to be a civil war in the US next year, because you just cannot come to school and let your child go to school and have an adult man who pretends to be a woman showing their genitals to them, or going to the restroom with them or the locker room with them. And US population has never been heard. So at the same time, their government, especially Blinken, who is Ukrainian origin, and other Mormons that took over Republican parties, who are reptiles and are really British inbreds, like Lindsey Graham, for example, and Mitt Romney. So At the same time, China has been preparing for war with the US, and they have been trying to reduce US population by this tranq drug and this fentanyl drug, because they sprayed on everything, every other drug like cocaine and so on. And like I heard, I think 300,000 mostly young US youth dies from it each year, or maybe each month already, I don't know. So the US is going to be in decline starting from the next year. I don't know if Joe Biden is going to make it till the end of the year. He is a very disgusting person, and each day it seems he disgraces his nation even more with his disgusting family and his so-called son. So anyways, they try to play with the feelings of people and manipulate their feelings, with this Kevin McCarthy talking about we have to pay to our military men and women. So, and Joe is trying to add some benefits to the military families. Or forgive the loan, just do everything, but not for the black population receive their reparation from the royal families of England and Belgium and Spain, and so on and so forth. So it is very likely that there will be a civil war in the US soon. And it is very likely that when this civil unrest will be taking place, some country will strike it at the same time.